Every second of your life, something is trying to steal your focus. Your phone, social media, that dumb Netflix show that you swore that you'll only watch one episode of. Now, I'm not your typical productivity guru. In fact, I'm just a regular guy. A guy who failed so many times that I had no choice but to figure out how to get 10x more done in a day than the average person does in a week. And this isn't some regurgitated advice from a book. This is the real stuff, the personal experiments and brutal lessons that took me from broke to millionaire in my 20s. So if you're tired of wasting time and you're ready to start playing the game like the 1%, let's get into it. Most people think that the secret to success is working longer hours. Wake up earlier, hustle harder, grind until your eyes bleed. But here's the truth. Hard work alone doesn't make you productive. It just makes you tired. A study from Stanford University found that after 50 hours of work per week, productivity drops off of a cliff. And after 55 hours, adding more hours does almost nothing. Meanwhile, Warren Buffett, worth over $100 billion, spends 80% of his time reading and thinking, not grinding through emails or meetings. And studies show that most people are only truly productive for 3 to 5 hours a day. So the real question isn't how do I work harder? Instead, it's how do I get 10 times more results from the same amount of time? That's exactly what the ultra productive understand. And it's why they follow a completely different set of principles. Let's break them down. Principle number 1, energy first productivity. The 1% don't work more. They work differently. Most people try to squeeze more hours out of the day, but the 1% focus on getting more out of the hours they already have. Because when your energy is low, your output is garbage. There was a point where I thought I was doing everything right. I was putting in 16-hour days, waking up at 4 a.m., grinding like my life depended on it. And in a way, it did. I was broke. I was running on fumes. I was stuck in a tiny apartment, eating cheap ramen, convincing myself that if I just worked harder, success would come. And to tell you the truth, it never did. It was like running on a treadmill. Moving, sweating, exhausted, but ultimately going nowhere. And then the worst night of my life happened. I remember staring at my bank account, seeing it at almost zero after another all-nighter that got me nowhere. And in that moment, it hit me. I wasn't failing because I wasn't working hard enough. I was failing because I was working like an idiot. So I stopped. I disappeared. I locked the fuck in. I spent 2 weeks obsessing over how the top 1% actually work. I threw out everything I thought I knew about hustling, and what happened? In just 14 days, I hit 1 million views in a single day. In the months that followed, my income exploded. And the crazy part, I wasn't working more. I was working differently. Because when your energy is optimized, everything else follows. Principle number 2, the 80-20 execution rule. Work on what moves the needle. Most people think productivity is about doing more tasks, more to-do lists, more hours in a day, but the ultra productive don't work that way. They don't do more. They do what matters. I learned this the hard way. Back when I was grinding, putting in 12 to 16-hour days, I thought I was productive. But in reality, I was just busy. I'd spend hours tweaking small things, answering emails, and doing work that felt productive, but wasn't actually moving me forward. Everything changed when I asked myself one question. If I can only work 2 hours a day, what would I do? And suddenly, all the noise disappeared. This is the 80-20 execution rule in action, where 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. The 1% don't just work, they execute on the few things that create the biggest impact. Principle number 3, systems are better than motivation. The 1% don't rely on willpower. Most people approach productivity completely ass backwards. They think success comes from waking up, feeling motivated every day, pushing themselves harder, and using sheer willpower to stay disciplined. But willpower is like a phone battery. It drains fast, and once it's gone, you have nothing left. The 1% know that if you rely on willpower, you already lost. Instead, they build systems. So productivity happens automatically, whether they feel like it or not. How I learned this? The hard way. There was a point in my life when I was stuck. I had ideas, I had ambition, but I was still inconsistent. Some days I'd work for 16 hours straight. Other days I'd procrastinate for hours, convincing myself I'd get to it later. I wasn't lacking motivation. I was lacking structure. It wasn't until I built systems into my day that I started seeing consistent results. I stopped deciding when to work. I instead blocked time in my calendar. Which, I'll be honest, I hated using a calendar. I'm the type of person that likes to just show up and do whatever every day, but once I started using it as a tool, my time got so much more productive. Then I stopped relying on feeling inspired. I set up triggers that forced me to take action. What I would do is I would use a little timer on my desk, and I would set a timer and I would just get the task done in that time. Or I would do things like I couldn't eat until I got an activity done. Or I would even just wire myself to when I would walk into the room, I could only be productive. And if I felt like being lazy, that's fine. I had to leave the room and not be in there. I removed every possible distraction. So the only thing left was work. And just like that, productivity wasn't a choice anymore. It became automatic. Okay, so how can we apply this today? Number one, calendar blocking. If something isn't scheduled, it does not exist. The 1% plan for their days in advance. So they never find time for important work. They make time. I remember actually when I talked to one of my friends who does the landscaping for a lot of very wealthy individuals and even billionaires. And he's like, these people have the most insane calendar. Like they have it down to like every 5 minutes, they have something planned out. And so the more that your calendar's planned out, the more that you're going to be productive. Number two, environment design. Productivity is about removing friction. Keep your workspace distraction free. Use website blockers like on Facebook or on YouTube to clear out your homepage. Set up a work only space so your brain knows when it's time to focus. Number three, the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, just do it immediately. Small tasks build up mental clutter, and so eliminating them instantly keeps you moving forward. The goal, stop thinking, stop deciding, just execute and take action. You see, the ultra productive don't wait until they feel like working. They set up systems that force them to take action until success becomes inevitable. Now, even if you do have the perfect system in place, there's still one thing that can ruin everything: distractions. And that's why the 1% treat their focus like gold. Let me show you how. Principle number 4, the no distraction zone. How the 1% protect their focus. Most people don't realize how much distractions are killing their productivity. A study from the University of California found that the average worker is interrupted every 11 minutes. And even worse, it takes 23 minutes to fully refocus afterward. That means most people never get deep work done. But the 1%, they treat focus like gold. While the average person is drowning in notifications, endless scrolling, and reactive work, the ultra productive ruthlessly protect their time and attention. Early in my journey, I made a huge mistake. I thought I was working hard, but in reality, I was constantly distracted. I'd start a task, then check my phone. I'd open my laptop, then get sucked into emails. I'd try to focus, but my brain was addicted to stimulation. I wasn't working. I was just switching between distractions all day. It wasn't until I created a no distraction zone that my productivity skyrocketed. I stopped treating focus like an accident and started engineering it into my environment. So how can we apply this today? First, turn off notifications. Every notification is a productivity killer. Put your phone on do not disturb or use focus mode to block distractions while you work. If you're like me, I put my phone in an entirely different room, so I don't even think about it. Bill Gates takes entire weeks that he calls think weeks, where he isolates himself with no emails, calls, or distractions just to focus on big ideas. Use the airplane mode hack. Treat your deep work like a long flight. No internet, no social media, no distractions. Set a timer for 90 minutes and work with full focus. Then take a short break. Control your environment. If you work in a space full of distractions, you will get distracted. Find a quiet place, use noise-canceling headphones, make it as hard as possible to check your phone. Then last, time block deep work. The most productive people schedule uninterrupted deep work sessions into their day. As an example, Ali Abdaal follows the time boxing method, blocking out 3 to 4 hour focused sprints each day for his most important tasks. When you eliminate distractions, your focus compounds, and suddenly you get more done in 3 hours than most people do in 8. Now, even with perfect focus, most people still don't reach their full potential. Why? Because they don't understand how small daily actions compound into massive results. That's what we'll cover next. Principle number 5, compound productivity. How small habits build billion-dollar results. Most people think success happens overnight. The reality, the 1% know that tiny, consistent actions create exponential results over time. This is the power of compound productivity, a concept that Ali Abdaal, James Clear, and even Jeff Bezos use to maximize their success. So, why is this principle so powerful? Think of it like investing. If you invest $10,000 today and never touch it, you won't see much growth. But if you invest every single month, that money compounds. And over years, it turns into millions. Productivity works the same way. If you write 100 words a day, you'll have a book in a year. If you improve 1% every day, you'll be 37 times better in a year. If you create one YouTube video a week, you'll have 50 plus assets driving in traffic and revenue in a year. Small wins stack, and over time, they create unstoppable momentum. How the 1% use this? Jeff Bezos started by just selling books, then scaled Amazon into a $1 trillion empire. Kobe Bryant showed up early to every practice for years, outworking everyone. Alex Hormozi started a small little gym, and over time, he is now making hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. None of them made a single big move that changed everything. Instead, they built daily habits that stacked up over time. First, they picked one tiny habit to start. Write 1 tweet a day if you want to grow online. Read 10 pages a day if you want to get smarter. Spend 30 minutes learning a skill every day if you want to master something. Step number 2, track your progress. What you can do is track how often that you show up. And then what starts to happen is our brains don't want to miss a day. Once I started writing an email every single day, I wanted to not miss a day because I didn't want to break that chain of showing up consistently. So track the small wins daily to stay consistent. And last but not least, focus on the process, not the results, because you won't see massive results immediately, but trust the process, because in 6 months, you'll look back and be shocked at how far you've come. And you can even partake in this right now. Drop a comment, tell us what you're going to do and track over the next 6 months. And in 6 months, come back to this video and tell us how it all went so we can see just how far that you've come from showing up consistently and being productive like the 1%. If you found this video valuable and you want to know how I think as a millionaire in my 20s, watch this video next. I'll take everything you just learned and show you how to actually apply it to make real money. And that's what I got. Thanks for watching.